Alright guys, it's like 8:30 in the morning. I'm so sleepy if you can't tell by the look on my face, but it's our moving day, so we're on our way to U-Haul to pick up our moving van. We've got a tight schedule today. We have to get our van, pack it all up, and get to our new place by 12:30. And we might have to do a couple of trips too, so we gotta be fast and efficient today.
저희는 지금 유홀이라는 트레일러랑 밴 같은 거 빌려주는 렌탈 회사로 가고 있는데요. 그 모르시는 분들을 위해서 간략하게 설명드리면은 유홀은 미국인들이 큰 짐 같은 거 옮길 때나 이삿짐 옮길 때 이렇게 밴이나 트럭 같은 거를 빌리는 렌탈 업체예요. 저희는 밴을 렌탈했어요. 그래서 지금 밴을 픽업해가지고 이삿짐을 옮겨보도록 하겠습니다. 진짜 하루 왼종일 걸릴 것 같아요.
So Jin doesn't have his Minnesota driver's license yet. His test is on the 15th. And he hasn't studied at all, but because he doesn't have his license yet, I'm the only one that can drive, and I'm nervous. I really don't like driving U-Hauls. I don't know why. So I only rented a cargo van since it's smaller and more manageable, but still got some nervous butterflies in my chest. I don't want something to go wrong.
Have him pull forward, but your van is right there. You open up the vehicle door. Here's the gas cap.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting.
I would have never known that.
Yeah, that's.
I had to look when we first got these vans. I had to look and look and look. Check your mileage and the odometer, and if that's all correct on your sheet, you guys are done. Thank you guys very much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. This thing is big.
와, 이거 진짜 엄청 큰데요? 저 이거 사가지고 캠핑카로 개조해도 될 것 같아요. 엄청 커요. 레이가 이런 큰 밴은 한 번도 안 몰아봤다고 되게 무섭대요.
No confidence to drive this giant ass thing. Oh my god. Well, your seatbelt's on, right?
Yeah.
What is that? Rear right door ajar. Oh, you didn't close the door, I guess?
Okay, let me check. 문이 안 잠겼대요. 그래서
Should be okay. I have no confidence in this vehicle. Is that what I look like in my tiny dinky red clown car? I could destroy that thing with this. Woohoo. Now the hard part.
Let's pack up. 너무 힘들어요. 이거 진짜 몇 번 옮긴지 모르겠어요.
Careful.
이거 가벼워 보이죠? 이거 30kg에 하나에.
Honey, you're not very helpful. You're just gonna sit there? Honey? At least you're cute.
이런 박스들이 8개나 있어요.
Okay. Wow.
레이 잘한다. 짐 이렇게 다 쌌어요. 너무 힘들어요 진짜.
So, believe it or not, this is actually our first time seeing this apartment. We did like what you're never supposed to do, and we signed a lease for an apartment that we've never seen before. And that's because like my mom, when she was alive, worked from home, and Jin and I also both work from home. And my mom's house is very small, so like having 3 people working from home at the same time is just really difficult. And we tried it before, and it's just like, it's too hard. So instead, I decided the best solution would be to get an apartment near-ish to my mom's house. But because I wanted us to have our own space like immediately upon arriving in the US, I signed a lease in advance so that Jin and I wouldn't have to like live at my mom's house for too long. So like, to make sure we didn't get a sketchy place, I opted to rent like a newish building. So hopefully like when we show up it's actually good. But yeah, you guys are gonna see the apartment for the first time right along with us. I guess that's exciting. I hope it's good. It looks good, but who knows? I could have just like picked the crappiest place ever. I don't know.
What if you went there and like the apartment doesn't exist?
You know, like I was worried about that, so I stalked the apartment online. Like I do Google Street View. Like I applied directly through that apartment's website. Like I know it's legit. I just don't know like the nooks and crannies. You know, photos can make things look better than they actually are. And that's the reason I went with a newish building, because I have lived in so many apartments in Minneapolis, and I have been bamboozled so many times by, like, you look at the photos online and then you show up and it's just the shittiest thing that you could ever imagine. So yeah, I think like this was the best I could do under the circumstances that we had. But yeah, I'm still nervous. I'm also very like nervous about parking this damn cargo van in Minneapolis. They said I have to freaking park it on the street and then go inside, talk to them, and then remove the van somewhere else. Guys, they're overestimating my parking ability. I cannot park that well. Okay, I haven't driven in a long time because in Korea I didn't have my international license for the last 2 years, so yeah.
It exists.
Apparently the building is real. What if our unit is not?
You guys have a seat right in these chairs here. If you have any questions about anything operationally, I'd probably be the one to ask.
Okay, so now we get to check out the apartment for the very first time. Should we go? It was actually kind of easy to like get our keys and stuff. He's pretty chill, so. It looks nicer than I expected so far. Ready? Oh wow, this place is nice. Wow, there's even tape on the toilet seat. It's brand new. Wow. Okay, this is worth the money. Alrighty. I have a bathtub again. So we have central air, thank God. And I liked this place because it had so many closets too. Like, look at this. I can't just walk. I can walk through the closet.
I think I can sleep here after we fight.
Okay, bye. This place also has a washer and dryer. I experienced going to and from the laundromat so many times in my life, so thank goodness we have this here. It'll save us a lot of energy. Wow. This place is so big. Like in our Korean apartments, I could touch the ceiling. There's like so much space. And we have a dishwasher. Yes. I'm so happy. What is this? They gave us a gift. This is like a Korean style gift. What is this? Freaking gave us toilet paper. A Korean gift. toilet paper and paper towels. Wow, nice. And an oven. Oh my god, I can use an oven. Also, all of our cabinets are like the fancy soft close kind, so even if you like freaking slam it, it just soft closes. Oh, it's bigger than I thought it would be. Wow, fancy. When I moved to Korea, I had a tiny dorm-sized fridge. That was a nightmare. Oh god. Okay, what else do we have? We have our living room. Very large.
저희가 비록 여기를 실제로 보지도 않고 계약서에 사인했는데 그래도 집이 새 거라서 그런지 좀 괜찮은 것 같아요.
Okay, we got all of our boxes in. How do you feel about this place so far? Did I choose an okay place?
미국은 레이가 잘할 거 아니에요. 그래서 제가 레이한테 집 알아볼 권한을 다 줘버렸어요. 그래서 저는 그냥 레이가 가자는 대로 간 거였거든요. 근데 실제로 와보니까 레이가 잘 선택한 것 같아요.
I think like the unfortunate situation in America these days is rent prices are extreme. Like I know for Koreans that live in Seoul, you probably think rent prices are extreme there too. However, for the same or similar size space, you're going to pay 2 times what you pay in Seoul.
그래도 미니애폴리스는 미국에서도 싼 편이에요. 도시인 거 치고는. 제가 알기로는 뉴욕이랑 LA 같은 경우에는 이 정도 집 구하는데 진짜 농담 안 하고 한 500만 원 이상 써야 될 거예요, 진짜.
So I noticed some comments recently saying like, so does that mean you guys are moving back to Korea? Well, obviously not because we're in this apartment and you watch this video. But I think like that situation is more complicated than you might think.
저희 사실 미국으로 이사 오길 결심했을 때 장모님께서 거의 돌아가실 때까지 아마 살려고 준비를 했던 거라서 그래서 여기 집도 장기로 계약을 했단 말이에요. 장기로 하면은 싸다 그래가지고 저희가 장모님 돌아가시고 나서 거의 며칠 후에 여기 아파트 관리자한테 저희가 계약서에 사인한 건 맞지만 그래도 혹시 파기를 할 수 없냐고 여쭤봤어요. 저희 어머니가 돌아가셨다. 경제적으로도 여기서 이렇게 아파트 2개를 렌트해가지고 사는 게 힘들 것 같다라고 그랬는데 이메일이 왔는데 돌아가신 건 미안한데 계약서상 여기 이렇게 쓰여 있으니까 계약을 파기할 수 없다. 파기하고 싶으면 1년치 월세를 다 내고 들어오지 말라. 한마디로 그냥 여기서 살라는 거죠. 계약 허용이 안 된다고. 돌아가신 건 돌아가신 거고. 그래가지고 저희는 여기서 1년 이상 살게 됐어요. 뭐 싫으나 좋으나. 그래도 되게 긍정적으로 생각해야죠. 뭐 1년 동안 여기서 살면서 뭐 먹고 살지, 뭐 하고 살지, 뭐 즐기려고 합니다. 뭐 장모님이 안 계시지만.
Like I think if I had rented through a small like rental company or like just a family-owned rental, they would have been more flexible with us. But because I chose to rent at a newer like rental management company-owned property, there's like zero flexibility because if they're flexible with us, they have to be flexible with everyone, and it's just too much of a headache. So like I understand from their perspective about this, but it also is like so unfortunate for us. And initiating an overseas move is just a huge logistical nightmare. Like to go from Korea to the US, from the US back to Korea, it's not only super expensive, but just so exhausting and so time consuming. And like the whole reason we decided to come to the US is because of my mom. Like this has been our plan. This is what we wanted to do. We wanted to come here and be with my mom, but of course she's not here anymore. Sadly, like we already took all of the steps necessary to come to the US before she passed away. So going back now is not really possible, and it's also not really smart in my opinion. Like we would have to spend a lot of money to go back. And I also gave up my Korean visa when we decided to do this. So I would also have to apply for another visa in Korea to be able to stay there. Also, like one of the biggest things actually is the ability to work. Like in Korea, what are the jobs that I can do?
레이가 사실 되게 영리한 스마트한 커리어우먼이거든요. 그래서 미국에 있을 때 좋은 직장에서 좋은 일을 했어요. 매니저로, 관리자로. 근데 한국에서는 할 수 있는 일이 되게 한정돼 있어요. 여기가 한국에서 유치원생만 가르치기는 조금 아깝다는 생각이 들었어요. 그래서 미국에서 뭐 커리어를 이어나가려고 합니다.
Regarding being a native English teacher in Korea, there's actually zero requirements to get that job. You just have to have any college degree. You don't have to have any English knowledge or English teaching experience. So like basically if you're a female foreigner, you're guaranteed a job anywhere you apply. So it's not very like prestigious. It's basically, if you're an American, it's the equivalent of working at like fast food restaurant. The pay is actually worse than fast food and hours are longer. So to me, I really don't want to be in that career field. But I think in the States, you and I can both get jobs. So it's kind of like it's good for both of us to have opportunities to work, I guess.
저도 뭐라도 할 수 있겠죠 여기서. 긍정적으로 생각하려고 합니다.
Also, before we like end this video, like at the time that we're filming this, we just uploaded the video where we told you guys about what happened to my mom, and there's already just so many comments that are extremely kind and like offering their condolences and even talking about like their own personal stories. And I just want to say how much I appreciate that, and reading that has definitely like made me feel better about the situation. And yeah, it's like honestly I'm too overwhelmed to sit down and reply to everyone, but I do want to just say like how much I sincerely appreciate everything. So thank you.
많은 분들이 아직도 이제 장모님 돌아가셨으니까 아기 낳아서 행복하게 살라고 그러는데 지금 저희도 지금 너무 힘들어요. 지금 이사 다니고 아파트 2개 월세 내야 되고 살 것도 너무 많아요. 지금 막 침대 사야 되지, 소파 사야 되지, 차도 바꿔야 돼요. 이 차도 지금 막 몇십 년 된 거 타고 다녀가지고 지금 끼릭끼릭 소리 나는데 운전할 때마다 지금 무서워요 진짜. 그래가지고 아직 애 낳으라는 소리는 아직 안 하셨으면 좋겠어요. 저희 먹고 살기도 지금 너무 바빠요. 지금 돌아가셔가지고 장례도 치러드려야 되고.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't know why today, like I maybe we've been too busy, but I haven't been like crying, and I think maybe this is a distraction, which is good. But we have a freaking ton on our plate to deal with. When you mentioned my car, all of a sudden I just got more stressed. Oh my god. Okay. Gotta move the U-Haul before other people get angry at us.